All right, so hello then. I'm joined today by Joe Goodman, head of rugby at University of Bristol, and Olly Slym, club manager. And just to introduce myself, I'm Henry Bedson, and I'll be club captain sort of from now, but officially 2020 to 21 season. I guess the best thing to do is to probably introduce yourselves a little bit, gents. So, Joe, would you like to take it away a little bit about yourself and how you came to the uni?
Sure. Hi all, Joe Goodman, head of rugby at Bristol Uni. Been in post now for 5 seasons. Been a real privilege to work with the club, the boys, and within the university setup. Prior to this, I was a consultant coach. So I did skills coaching with individual pro athletes, junior athletes in schools, academies, whilst working in and out of various other schools as well. And prior to that, I guess I was in New Zealand playing a bit of rugby and played junior pro and bits and pieces. Did some work with the RFU, so I've been a community rugby coach. So I've worked all areas of the game, top to bottom. Now a level 4 qualified and somehow managed to pick up a degree at one point as well.
Knows his stuff. And then Ollie?
Yeah, my favourite topic is talk about myself, to be fair. So my name's Olly Slym, club manager at Bristol University men's side. History really in sponsorship and fundraising, working for lots of charities. Also ran a few businesses and myself before coming involved in this. Rugby has always been my passion. Quite similar to the boys, I went to university on a nice little scholarship, so I've been there and understand it all. And yeah, just like to bring my passion forward. And
Purpose of this today then is sort of FAQs or Q&A more so towards parents and guardians that have various different queries about sending their sons off to uni and sort of the rugby side of it, but also just university in general and how we can help with the transition and try and advertise ourselves as a strong club to come and play rugby at, and also just a strong uni in general. So I guess we start off with the questions then. So the first question I've got for you is, if we're looking at sort of the performance side, what sort of scholarships do we have available for prospective performance players?
Shall I take that one, Ollie?
sure.
The scholarship program we've actually redeveloped. So this is a great time for that question and to be able to present what is a unique opportunity within university sport, I hope now. So right at the top, we've got our Vice Chancellor Scholars. So we offer an interview opportunity to come and present all skills and for all athletes, student athletes coming out of schools, colleges, etc., to show us what they're about and where they'd like to go, importantly. And the Vice Chancellor Scholarship is, well, this year there's only 11 scholars coming through. It's a competition between all sports. So there's going to be 2 rugby players this year potentially, but there might be 5 next year. There might only be 1 the following year. And they're all mixed in competing for that scholarship with hockey, lacrosse, rowing, tennis, etc. as well. And then below that, we offer the Maroon Rugby Scholarship from the rugby club itself. So this is a new program that's been set up with the idea to present a connected club and an opportunity for young men to reach their potential on an individual basis. So it's not just an award for outstanding performance, which is a big part of it, that's for sure, within first team level rugby, but also for the contribution off the field or contribution to each player's individual team. So you might be a 4th or 5th team player, you might be captaining, vice captaining, you might be doing extra community work, refereeing, coaching and other things as well. So there's an opportunity to gain that Maroon Award as well for that extra contribution to the growth and development of this club, and importantly, the players and staff around you as well.
Yeah, it's a bit of an unprecedented thing amongst universities. Slym, do you have anything to say on that, or?
No, what we offer for all types of scholarships, I think, is phenomenal, and actually more than I've ever seen anywhere before. From hardship grants as well for students that struggle financially, to master grants to, when players are going to stay on and do their masters, we can offer them scholarships as well. So there's an amazing amount of time and effort put into this, mainly from Joe, and we can support so many different type of player as well. So yeah, no stone goes unturned, really.
Perfect. Yeah, and then I guess that brings me on to sort of the next question, which is, you know, leading on from scholarships, is what standard of rugby do we play? Obviously, we talk a lot in some of our documents. If people go and have a look at them, we're playing in Buck South Prem A. But obviously, in layman's terms, what does this actually mean?
From the top down, I think the first message actually should be that we provide rugby for all. That's the really key part here. So as Ollie alluded to there with the scholarship offer, it doesn't matter what your background is or your experience within the game, we provide something from intramural to tricks to our Bucks competitions. You can go and join the touch rugby team, etc. So there's an awful lot on offer. The level of rugby, if you're performance orientated, I would say is judged by the students that are coming out at the top. So for example, we've got guys who've just signed for the championship for the 5th year running now in terms of professional contracts. We've had guys move into premiership contracts. We have normally one student every year at the very least representing England students as well. In terms of the physicality of the game, it's somewhere near Nat 2, Nat 1 rugby. In terms of the speed of the game, it's probably above Nat 2, it's moving to Nat 1 championship side of it. So it's a bit of a mix, and it depends on each team's style. Obviously, good coaches set their teams up based around the strengths and opportunities to win within the team and what the players are capable of doing. So we tend to play a pretty creative, open, fast-running game, give the guys some freedom based within a framework to be able to express themselves. But it is a very physical, fast, demanding sport at this level if you're going for the very top of it. And we're aspirational. Obviously, we want to push to Super Rugby. We're the only team outside Super Rugby who's been to 3 Vase finals, 2 Super Rugby playoffs, won a league, etc. Outside of that current Super Rugby program. So we punch above our weight considering the resources available to us, and it's highly competitive. And I'm always surprised at how the students are surprised actually when they come out schoolboy rugby, what the step up is to try and get to first team rugby. It takes time. The technical, the physical, the tactical development is a step above. Even those who've been in academies are sometimes a little bit shocked, and it's our job, Slimy, myself, the coaches and the fellow players, to bring them up to speed as fast as possible in a comfortable manner, sometimes uncomfortable manner. Obviously, guys, we want challenged. We don't want it to just be a walk in the park. We demand the best of the best, but ultimately it's about developing great young people and student athletes from this program. So yeah, the level of rugby is strong, and we hope it's going to get better and bigger every year.
Yeah, as you alluded to there, it sort of answered the questions I was going to about sort of boys that are less focused on the performance side in terms of the level of teams that we offer, and also just post-university opportunities, really. So I guess that brings me on then to if we have a look also at sort of the academic influence in terms of how does rugby, does it clash with, you know, academic studies, or
how to balance the academic demands alongside the sporting? I mean, it's a very common question actually asked by students and obviously the parents as well. So yeah, it's first and foremost one of the priorities actually, again, coming into this new year, about helping students balance and understand the need for effective time management. I'll talk about the students generally, and perhaps Ollie can kindly give the viewers here some insight into his experience of dealing with the students this year, and in particular the committee, who probably have more demands on them than anybody else because of the workload that we ask them to get engaged with as a student-led rugby club. But I guess the key here is starting with why is one of the biggest things I've learned with over the 5 years here. If students are keen and passionate about their rugby, then it is key to understand that you need to plan your time. You need to get your nutrition right. You need to plan when you're going to go shop and get your food in. You got to know if you're going for performance level when you can party and when you can't. You got to know your schedules. You got to consider your logistical challenges of travel between halls of residence or your house down to training to fixtures and things. And the success of it, I guess, is as I mentioned, planning ahead. It's liaising with myself and fellow coaches, senior players, Ollie as well. That communication is absolutely vital in every area of what we do. So asking questions and getting a good understanding well ahead of time and being prepared with things is key. But it is very, very possible. And I always turn to the medics who've come through this club, who've gone into professional contracts, and medics who've gone on to play national sevens or other high levels of rugby, that if they can balance medicine, which is arguably the most demanding course at the University of Bristol, and high level, high performance rugby through efficient time management, good, lifestyle performance skills, effective communication, a great dialogue and relationship with myself and the other coaches and team members, a little bit of financial support in terms of probably needing a car from year 2 or year 3 if you're that way inclined because of placements, but it's all very, very possible. So I hope that answers that question and alleviates any worries parents might have, that we are very, very aware that there is a commitment, certainly to the performance side of things, but very rewarding at the same time. It is developing life skills to prepare these young men for the real world, whether they go to professional rugby or other professional channels. And it's important that they learn them, and we certainly provide a platform and environment for them to do that.
Yeah, I guess obviously alluding there as well to the big thing being time management. And one question I have written down for you is, what sort of schemes or measures do we have in place to help with, boys' transition into university? Obviously, less so to do with actual rugby, but just as a rugby club, what do we do to help them?
I think first and foremost, actually, Olly might want to talk about the committee on that subject, because it's part of the committee's role this year is a big to do in terms of making sure we are correctly engaged in that. So do you want to lead on that one, mate?
Yeah, I think it's a really important point to make as well. It's what you put into it. You don't, the top end, the performance side of the club, of course, you're going to be putting more effort than the bottom of the side. But it doesn't mean that you're still not a member of University of Bristol Rugby Club. You could put in a small amount of effort, but you'll be playing in the 3s and the 4s, or even the trick side, or even the intramural side. Put that amount of effort that you put in, you can still play at rugby, even if you put a minimal amount of effort in, if that makes sense. Of course, we want you to put as much effort in as possible, because that means you'll be a better rugby player, we'll have a better team and a success rate. But it doesn't mean that you can't be a part of it if you don't, go to every training session. I know Joe wouldn't think that in his first team and his second team squads, but that's why they're the performance element of it. But we have how many? 186 members this year?
Yeah.
And how many of them in your performance squad, would you say?
Realistically, we are looking at around 40, 45, and that's the key.
So the rest fit under that different category.
And that's where the key again is the committee and that transition into the club, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we're making sure that no matter what level you're committed to in terms of your rugby, we want you to have fun, make memories, and engage in this great environment and this great
Absolutely.
club, and make your university experience special, and make some friends for life, importantly as well. Excuse me. And
then if you're lucky enough, to be selected on the committee, it's a different aspect of the role and of the club, and you're learning. It's almost like a business, really, a little enterprise. That's what we always say, don't we? That they're running themselves a little business, but yeah, it takes a bit more time, particularly of a club captain, as you go into it, Henry. I know you're going into it, but yeah, it takes more time, but it's an incredible experience to have, and something brilliant to put on your CV, and something you will learn so many different things. So everyone on that committee will leave, having put more time in. Yeah, they've got to manage their education. Yeah, the committee, and they're playing rugby. But what you will gain is, invaluable. Really, it's an incredible thing to do and learn. You just got to plan time properly, and that's the key, really. But education always comes first, and you always say that.
Absolutely. And the transition, I guess, is key, isn't it? I mean, the big one from our committee this year is that welcoming effect. The information that's out there on social media, so our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or emails are going out there, getting guys in the committee to engage with incoming students, and then importantly, those incoming students to engage with myself and Olly and Henry here on the call, to be able to ask those questions. What do I do? Where do I go? How do I sign up? What's the season plan going to be? And then the other big one is that we've got specific people in the committee, our freshers, managers, to be able to organise meals, organise the welcome events, organise the trials. There's some social events linked into it. And then, of course, we've got the resources on the website as well that Olly's done a great job with, helping develop those welcome documents that you can download, free to access. There's pre-season S&C things in there as well. And you basically build a relationship before you even get to the university and the club. And it's very important, we think now in particular, to look at the succession planning for the club as we grow and develop and want to be more competitive, at the same time as developing the students, making sure that you're physically prepared, making sure that you're properly engaged with the right amount of coaches, getting more lifestyle performance advice, nutrition, psychology, mental health and well-being aspects, and numerous other areas as well. So, you know, making sure you're aware of the whole year's calendar. Again, examples of that on the website, looking at where your exam timetable is in relation to maybe small tours, fixtures, cup competitions, those other bits and pieces that you can invite mum and dad down to, end of year meals, all these sorts of things that go on within the club. So it's all encompassed and all presented in a pre-season. And I guess the biggest success is to those players who attend the pre-season. They're the ones who transition the fastest by getting involved and getting to know the senior players, the coaching team again, meeting Henry and Ollie, importantly, and spending time around the group. Because when university starts, it's dead easy. You roll straight into Bristol and you're like, comfortable with this area. I know the route. I know where I'm going. I can actually help other people.
Yeah, I think what's really exciting as well, and we're excited, and certainly in the conversations I've had with the students on the committee, is the new role of the education officer. Obviously, that's not just, you know, for first years, as you've said, we've got our freshers officers, but the education officer, obviously, like, what was the inspiration behind that in terms of the documents they do just for the whole club, but also importantly for freshers as well?
Ollie, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, it is a new role. It's an adapted role, as it were, on a previous one. It's really important in terms of we can allow all the students to gain like a level of qualification and learning within certain aspects of it. So it's different types of, it's assistance obviously, but it's also, you know, refereeing courses, coaching courses, first aid courses, mental health. There's loads of different types of things that we can help with, and that will be a key part of that committee member's role to enhance that learning experience. You know, you're not just coming to be a rugby player. You're not just coming to score tries. You're going to come away, you know, a better person, a better man, and more qualified. And that role will allow that to happen. And, you know, Joe and I just, you know, put people in the right places, like playing a game of chess, and you guys go and do it. And you know, that would be so exciting to have a load of referees and coaches come out the back of this, not just players.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've obviously spoke there about sort of the well-being and mental side of it. I think a question some parents might have also is, obviously we've spoken about the step up in physicality, but just, you know, practical stuff like what's the level of assistance we can give to players, like medically on the side of the pitch, for example, or physiotherapy?
Sure. The first and foremost, every single ground that there's a game played at, there's a paramedic on site. So that's a non-negotiable amongst certainly for the University of Bristol, and then all other universities based within the Bucks program. Then we offer, our first team has a pitch side physio, and then there's a physio accessible twice a week, which is kind of like a walk-in triage and then consultancy support. And then we're increasing that availability next year, actually, which is quite an exciting thing in terms of treating the club as a business. We've got to find the funding and sponsors and bits and pieces to be able to make sure these resources are available rather across the whole club. It's important to us that all of the guys feel cared for and are able to get that support in terms of getting them healthy, fit, and firstly available to go back to study and get on with normal life, let alone play rugby again. The next part of that is the Sports Exercise and Health Centre then have a brilliant physio department there. Again, you can get a 10-minute triage appointment there to go and have a look at what might be wrong with you, and then be able to book in for a proper course of treatment, maybe over 3, 4, 5 visits to Tyndall Avenue, where that resource is. And again, we offer recovery sessions after fixtures for our performance teams. We've got ice baths. We're looking at getting in sports masseuse and other bits and pieces. We've got resources available online for the whole club, again, to look at their recovery. The big one for us as well, of course, is head case. So all the students have to engage in the head case rules with the RFU. So they have to go online, as do all our coaches, and make sure they've ticked off that awareness course. And again, there's non-negotiables on the return to play process. Everything goes through our health and wellbeing officer, through the club physio, and myself and Ollie obviously manage that data and track all of the guys in terms of that return to play stuff. We've had a few, obviously every rugby club has the odd bump, bruise, bang, and we've had a few over the years now, and we like to think we take care of them as best as possible. I've certainly spent a little bit of time in hospitals visiting guys and making sure their return to play is up to scratch, and they're fit and healthy and ready to go again. And whenever a call to a parent's been required, then I've got no hesitation in making sure we're keeping everybody in the loop and looking after those students to the best of our ability.
Perfect, thank you. I guess then this leads us on to probably one of the final questions we'll ask, which is more so around the social culture of the club. Obviously, we have to ask the question, as some parents might have, around stuff like initiation. So can we go into that a little bit?
Sure. I mean, it's a very simple one from the university's point of view, not only universities, but from Bucks as a governing body and from the RFU as a governing body, that initiations are banned. And as far as I'm concerned, we've done a good job of eradicating the issues around it and the stigma around it. Importantly, this sport, and in particular this rugby club, it's open for all. Everybody should be made to feel welcome. There's no pressure to behave in a certain way or do certain things. And any time that sort of occurrence has jumped up, then we've acted pretty swiftly to put it down and make sure those students are dealt with. It is about inclusivity, after all, and making sure everybody feels happy, welcome, and engaged in the club and want to get stuck into things. So as much as there are opportunities for students, obviously, to go out there and socialise, and alcohol will be involved, part of that's also linked to what Ollie talked about with the education officer, that we want to make sure that we are educating students around alcohol, drug awareness, the impact on your body, the impact on performance academically, impact on the sporting side of things as well. It's really important that the students are obviously made aware of these things, and they bring some sense, and common sense is normally delivered through our committee. Obviously, Henry is club captain, and our leadership groups that we have within the club. Our older students are there to set a good example and make sure that everybody is engaging correctly and safely and well aware of who they can talk to if they've got any problems. Ollie, is there anything you want to add on that?
No, not really. You know, times have changed. Rugby wasn't what it was when I went to university, and that's for it's a great reason. You know, it's so much better now. You know, that doesn't happen anymore, and it doesn't happen at Bristol University. Fundamentally, it doesn't happen. Even if we get a whiff of it, we're speaking with the people and working out what's happened, and we just don't allow it. Fundamentally, do not allow it, and that's from the top to the bottom. And it's accepted by the whole club as well now. It's not it's not the norm, is it? It's just not allowed by the senior members to the first year students. They just don't allow it. It's a safe environment. It's a great environment, and a brilliant club to be a part of. Yeah,
it was a question that probably didn't need to be asked, but also is important to just settle any doubts. And then I guess following on from the social side, what's the sort of scope we have for trips away as a club or tours?
Ollie, one for you, mate, considering what you're organising at the moment.
Yep. So as a club, we do aim to go on tours. It's obviously a big part of being at Bristol University. They've done it throughout their whole, since they've ever started as a club, they've gone on tours, and it's a big part of students' memories of the rugby club. This year, we were meant to have gone to a Sevens tour in the Algarve, but unfortunately, COVID won that battle. So unfortunately, that was cancelled. We're now looking at a very special tour next summer, following the Lions in South Africa. Everything's crossed that will come through. Obviously, we don't know when we're allowed to. Yeah, obviously, we don't even know if we're allowed to fly again at the moment. So it seems quite a long way away. But that's the aim. We're going to spend 10 days in South Africa, next summer, and following the Lions as they start their tour. And we're going to play a few schools down there, a few academies, hopefully. Get on a bit of a safari as well, which is exciting. And yeah, it's one of the big parts of it, and it's something we push as a management team to do a yearly tour and everything?
We've actually tried to do it on a few occasions now, and Ollie's kindly taken over as the manager of this project. But the key to it's obviously been the engagement with the students. So there's a lot of things that get in the way. Just to give you an example, like ski trips and parents' holidays and family holidays, and you've then got placements, you've got
Finances,
financial position of different people, summer jobs, and all sorts of things. Some guys are playing rugby at other clubs as well, and demand of that, Seven Circuit. So there's various bits and pieces that get in the way. Bob Reeves is our president, former president of the RFU, former head of rugby once upon a time here at the University of Bristol. He's very passionate about us trying to tour, and we really need the committee and the students to engage in it if we're going to get it off the ground. And the committee is a big part of it, because the management, in terms of myself and Ollie and other staff, can't do it alone. It really is a big project to get going. And so, yeah, it's one that we aspire to. If we don't go to South Africa, there's options to maybe go over to Kenya, or maybe to go to southern France. We looked at, as Ollie said, look at sevens tournaments abroad as well. So there's a lot of opportunities, we hope, in the coming years as well to expand upon that.
I think it's also good to point out we have some great links with some other universities as well that we do go off and play, and we do travel to. So Oxford, we play the Navy. We've got links with Dublin, and we're looking to play a game in London as well. So that, there's loads of different avenues we can explore in terms of traveling, whether it be locally or hopefully to South Africa.
Yeah. And that, I mean, that's really all the questions I had. The last thing I just wanted to point out, but hopefully it's been obvious with this Q&A anyway, is I guess what we have built and what we're continuing to build around sort of stressing the importance of UBRFC being more than just a rugby club, in terms of what we're doing, building strong young men and men that are ready for the world of work. Is there anything else you guys have to say on that? Or?
Absolutely. I mean, I totally agree. That was part of my vision when I came in, 5 years ago, was building more of a community connection, and we strive to improve upon that every year. It's not an easy thing, because there's so much change, the evolution of the committee involved, the players. There's a big goal to engage with local rugby clubs, and obviously the touring and bits and pieces that we do. We try to put on marquee fixtures and things like that as well to get the university community more connected, university sports clubs, sports teams, men's and women's rugby connected. So there's lots of big factors there that we're driving to ever increase the opportunities of developing the character and the skill sets of all of the students involved in the rugby club. I think the biggest thing, though, and I'm sure Ollie will talk more about it as well with me, is the 1876 club that we've set up in this last year. My goal there was to be able to not only offer a pathway to potentially present what we do in a better way to our alumni for revenue streams and sponsors and things like that, but importantly, provide an opportunity for our current students to look at networking with our alumni. We've got possibly the biggest alumni network, bar Oxford, Cambridge and Durham. They're huge supporters, brilliant businessmen out there who a lot of kindly donate to the club, whether that's their own knowledge or financially. But they're big supporters, and they've been through this brilliant experience of 3, 4, 5 years within this club and making some of the best memories, best friends for life within it. And so we're pushing hard now for our students to engage, quite simply starting with a LinkedIn profile, join that alumni group on LinkedIn, and then present themselves and look at engaging with our alumni, asking questions about courses they did, why they did them, what they looked at for career development. Then you're basically looking at building a relationship to hopefully maybe lead to placements, work experience, and ultimately maybe a career. I would hope some of the advice that is also handed down back to our students is about application, both in the rugby club and the academics and socially, and balancing life, grasping it with both hands, the opportunity, because it's certainly I look back at my opportunities and may have missed one or two things. And I think it's that experience is going to be a great opportunity for guys to get involved with. So as a brand new project, it's a big one that we hope will benefit all students coming in. And Ollie's taking the lead on that again with a big kick-off dinner at Twickenham, we're hoping in December.
Brilliant. Anything to say?
Anything to add, Ollie, on that?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the 1876 club's an incredible opportunity for everyone involved, whether it's the alumni still being in touch with their rugby club that they love, and the students. I think there's one thing to mention about the main question is that he doesn't have to, but Joe, this is going to kill me praising you, particularly in public. Joe doesn't have to go that extra mile he can just turn up and play rugby matches and coach them to succeed. But what Joe does, he goes the extra mile in every single aspect of that rugby club. And he looks after all of you and goes so far and beyond that it's incredible.
Thank you, mate.
He's thought of everything. He's ticked every box for you guys to go out there and succeed, whether it's getting a job or becoming a better person or developing as a businessman. He's thought of everything, and it's all within this rugby club. And he doesn't have to. I don't think any other coaches would do it. So it's an incredible place to be a part of because of that man. And I just recommend everyone just get involved, get stuck in, and enjoy it. Be a part of it.
Well, thanks then both to Joe and Ollie for sitting down to answer these questions. Really appreciate it. Hopefully it's sort of helped with any questions that any parents, guardians or prospective students might have. If you still have any questions, feel free to obviously drop us an email. If you have a look at www.ubrfc.com, you can find various contact details as well as an introduction to the committee this year. And yeah, we hope to see you in Bristol. Thank you.